ego is the number one thing I think that gets in all of our way of developing. Are you operating from knowing who you want to be and how you want to show up?
Yeah, one of our family mottos is we take winning shots. Most people in basketball and sports and life aren't even willing to take the winning shot. So you got 3 seconds left on the clock. Most people are looking around going, who's going to shoot it? I hope it's not me, because I don't want to carry the burden of missing.
I have not met a human being that doesn't have blind spots.
Yeah.
It's helpful if you just sit with yourself and get clear about what is it you want coaching on? What are you trying to get better at? Because the more clear you can be about, I want to move from here to here, that can help determine who the good coach is for you.
All right, welcome back to the lounge here at the Gents Place at the Star in Frisco, Texas, Dallas Cowboys headquarters. I've got Keith Lewis. I didn't ask you, Keith, are you a Dallas Cowboys fan?
I mean, I grew up in Houston, born and raised. I'm a fifth-generation Texan, but,
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll continue the interview, but apparently Keith is not a Cowboys fan. Keith is the president, founder of VeriSpark, where he works with executive organizations to improve leadership abilities, leadership effectiveness, anything and everything leadership with founders and executives. Most of you are probably either an entrepreneur or in leadership of some kind. So I was excited to have Keith on, and he's a member in our Austin location. How long have you been coming into Austin? Fairly recently, right?
Fairly recently. I think I joined 7 months ago. It's really well located in Austin because it's right next to where my wife gets her nails done.
Oh, nice.
And a couple of places she shops. So now I can be like, oh, you're going to go get your nails done? Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to go I'll go get a cleanup, maybe have a drink, kind of relax.
That's good validation for me. We always try to open up next to a nail salon or a blow bar, like one of those blowout bars.
Yeah.
Because we know the women are walking by us all the time. So
Yeah.
Did she see it first and then told you about it?
She's the one who got me my
good for her.
first 7-way
or
seven course. Yeah. So she's the first one who got it to me, and I was like, wow, this is a pretty nice place.
Okay. I like it.
It was great.
I like it. Well, we met recently, and you sent me a copy of your book, which I see it laying right there, Sparking Your Inner Leader.
Yep.
As the name implies, there's something inside that needs to be worked on, right, before you go out to the rest of the world and start imparting all of your wisdom and knowledge on everybody. But before we get to leadership, and I didn't even talk about this in our pre-interview, but you were a college mascot.
That's correct.
Not just any college. This was like Division I college mascot?
Division I. Well, I think we were Division I. We had the worst football team in the nation at the time. But I was at Northwestern back in the early 80s. I'll go ahead and date myself back in the early 80s, and showed up in 1981. My dad was like, hey, make sure you get involved in some way. Opened up the Daily Northwestern paper. There's an ad there that says, come try out for Willie the Wildcat. So I grabbed one of my buddies from the dorm and said, let's go try out. He was a theater major, so he, of course, said yes. And we went and tried out. And because Northwestern literally was setting the record for the most losses in a row at that time, we hadn't won a game since 1979.
Oh my
and this is
gosh.
81. And there were about, I want to say 12, 14 people that were at tryouts. So I don't think it was super competitive, let's put it that way. And I got the job.
What do you need to do to stand out as a college mascot?
I don't know what it is now. I'm sure now the mascots these days are incredibly talented people. I mean, they're gymnasts. They're extremely creative in the things they come up with, and especially the professional mascots as well. But in those days, I was a cheerleader. So in high school, I was at one of those high schools that had male cheerleaders. Mm-hmm. So I was a cheerleader in high school, and that kind of gave me the whole spirit, understanding that piece of it. So, I just threw it all out there. It was essentially, can you dance? Mm-hmm. Which I could do a little bit of. Can you get us, excited? I think the thing they threw out at us, hey, Northwestern's down 58-0. It's the fourth quarter. What would you do?
How can you still be happy?
Yeah.
You cause other people to be happy.
Exactly.
Oh,
And
that's a
what's
challenge.
funny is the very first game I did was against Iowa, and we lost that game 63-0.
Oh gosh, what a tough mascot job.
It was very tough. It was very tough, but it was a ton of fun. I mean, we had a great time. They did freshman year. They thought it was a great idea. I mean, you're a marketing guy, so they're thinking of what can we do to excite people. So they had a cage that they rolled out. It was on wheels, and they rolled it out, and the mascot was in the cage. And they're like, "We're going to let him out as soon as Northwestern scores. It's going to be great."
They just stayed in the cage the whole game.
I mean, at halftime, they let me out because I was like, "Hey, I got to go to the bathroom. Can I
Yeah.
get out of the cage?"
Oh man,
That lasted about 2
that's
games.
a marketing campaign gone wrong.
Yeah, it was not good.
Yeah. Is there a corollary? Maybe this is in the book, and forgive me, I've not read it front to back. But
Yeah.
when I see the title, Sparking Your Inner Leader, and I think about the mascot, it's what's on the inside that counts.
Yeah.
Is there some sort of corollary there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is something I think that I started thinking about this. I started coaching in the late 90s, and about 2 or 3 years into that, I would coach someone and I was like, oh my gosh, in my mind, I was like, I think I learned that when I was a mascot. And so I started playing with the analogy. And then I'm a slow writer. It took me about 20 some odd years to write the book. I mean, I came up with ideas, etc., but wrote some articles. But I was finally like, I need to either write this or stop thinking about it. But when I started to do more research, I started talking to NCAA mascots. So this is now 2017, 2018. And everyone I talked to, we would talk about when I brought a friend here.
Yeah, bring it out. As long as you're not, as long as I don't have to dress up.
Do you
like
want to put
mascot.
it on?
No, I'm good.
I brought the Black Panther. But when you put this on, when any mascot puts on especially their head, you become the panther,
Yeah.
or you become the wildcat, or you become the longhorn, or you become the tiger, whatever it is. And every mascot knows that. So when you go to Auburn and there's a team of people, there are 5 or 6 students that fulfill that role, they know that when they get in, they stop becoming who they are and they start becoming this character, this emblem of the university as well. So that is something that I started watching leaders do, right? I was like, are you operating from knowing who you want to be and how you want to show
Yeah.
up? So as a mascot, I mean, of course it's silly, I want to show up as a fun-loving wildcat, but in real life, when I'm a leader, how do I want to show up? So it was really about getting clear of why am I here? What am I here to do? And gaining that real crisp clarity around that. And then my clients were exploding once they were clear on that.
So is the concept that that's a dangerous thing to kind of put on a mask, like someone that you really aren't when you're a leader?
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing. So again, I use the mascot there's something on the inside that's creating what you're seeing on the outside. And that's what I think about it as a leader. What is it what's my gut? What's my heart? What is my identity telling me of who I really want to be and how I want to show up? So in fact, what we're actually creating is huge alignment and authenticity, right? So
What's on the outside needs to match what's on the inside, and vice versa. Okay.
Correct. I mean, here at the Gents place, you're doing this here, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, it starts with my personal values, like as the founder of the company. What do I believe in? What am I excited about? And putting that in play in the organization. And what I found is that
Right.
It attracts like-minded people. So I love the business I have so much, because if I'm coming in as my most authentic self, not pretending to be anybody, not putting kind of the mascot head on and pretending to be someone I'm not, if I can stay authentically me and put that through the organization and be frankly unapologetic about it, then I end up working with the most amazing people.
Exactly.
We're not all the same, but we share a lot of common values. There's alignment, like you said.
Right. And it doesn't have to be perfect 100% alignment between your values and someone who's at the front desk, or Diana who cuts my hair in Austin. But I'm sure that Diana's like, the reason I love coming here is because I know I'm working at a place that I feel confident. I feel respected. I feel, and we, the great things that you do with veterans, I'm sure she has some kind of like, I'm adding value to the world.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what we're talking about. And what's so interesting to me is I think we have a lot of leaders who think they are doing that, but they've never really sat down to get clear about who they really are and how they want to show up. Because what they've actually done is gone to business school, started their company, and said, man, I got to be successful. I got to make X number of dollars. I've got to have 48 locations. That's the measuring stick that I'm going to use. And then they lose sight of who they are.
Yeah, or they read all of these different articles and like, this is the way business should be done. I remember when Steve Jobs was still alive.
Right.
And he was a tyrant from all takes, like all criticisms. The guy was not an easy person to work for.
Correct.
Super successful.
Yeah.
But you found people in business going out just trying to emulate, like, that guy's successful, so I'm going to wear a black turtleneck. I think this is like the Theranos founder, who got in a bunch of trouble. That was kind of her thing. Like, she was the Steve Jobs. But I'm going to wear a black turtle. I'm going to wear the same thing to work every day and be mean to everybody, and I'll be just like Apple. I'll experience the same success as Apple.
Exactly.
And I don't think Steve Jobs was like that because he read in a book somewhere that that's how you're supposed to be. I think that was just him.
Right.
That's why it worked.
Yeah.
It was very authentic to who he was.
Right. And I'm sure, I never met Steve, but I'm sure that he was very clear about what he wanted to accomplish as well. And I'm not sure, maybe somebody can comment on our podcast here and tell us if they knew him. Was his goal to make $1 million or $10 million or $1 billion? I don't think that was it. I think he was driven by something else. He was driven by innovation and what he wanted to create in the world for people, for ease of use.
Yeah. I'm going to paraphrase probably incorrectly, but he said he wanted to put a dent in the universe. That was his purpose.
Yeah.
Not change an industry, not build a better computer.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted to make his mark in the universe. So.
Wow. The universe is a big place, but I bet he did. I bet he did.
Yeah. Let's talk about, I had an executive coach, probably executive coach / life coach. He really got integrated into our family, and I don't know if you delve into that area, but let's just say I'm open to the idea or feel like I need to hire an executive coach.
Right.
I bet you all of our audience members have been hit with Facebook and Instagram ads and LinkedIn ads and emails about executive coaching.
Right.
There's a million of them out there. How do you coach us in navigating that?
Yeah.
Like, I'm good with hiring somebody, but there's 72 different firms and people to choose from. Like, how do I find the right fit?
And there's a ton of people that are just hanging their shingle up saying, I'm a coach now. I might have expertise in a particular area, so I'm going to coach people in that area. But I think there's a couple of things to think about if you're really serious about getting a good, and I'm going to speak about it from a business coaching or executive leadership coaching. That's what I do. I would assume life coaches, and there's lots of kinds of coaches. Life coaches are out there. There are adolescent coaches. There are left-hand dominant coaches. Seriously, there's all kinds. But I think the first thing is, it's helpful if you just sit with yourself and get clear about what is it you want coaching on. What are you trying to get better at? Or what are you trying to improve? Or what are you trying to learn? Or what are you trying to experiment with? Because the more clear you can be about, I want to move from here to here, that can help determine who the good coach is for you. So that's number one. Number two is, whenever I get called as a chemistry call to say, hey, let me see if Keith might be a good coach for me. And I think chemistry call is a good word for it. I always encourage people. I say, hey, are you talking to other coaches? Talk to at least 3 coaches. At least if you talk to 3, you're going to get 3 different types of feels from those people. So talk to at least 3. You don't have to talk to 10. You don't have to spend that much time, but get some referrals from people, or get some references of people who've used that coach before, perhaps. And then talk to 3 and see, number one is, what is their process? And does that sound like a process that you would really excel through? And number 2 is, do you have chemistry with them? Like, is this somebody you trust? And I know it's one phone call, but you get that
You
sense
just get a gut feeling.
You get the gut feeling, and go with that gut feeling, because that's the kind of thing that you're going to start to experience in the coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So see who feels good at a gut level. And I think those are the critical things. So if any coach is like, I've got the best process, I mean, I don't believe that. I have my process that works for my clients, but I'm not for everybody.
When are you not a good fit? When do you get off a call and say, even if they're like, Keith, I want to move forward. I mean, have you turned down clients before where you said, I just think I'm not a good fit for you?
I have. The number one reason I turn down a client is if I get a sense that they're really not willing to do something different. They're not willing to do their work. I learned it early in my career. I had a client in New Braunfels, Texas, not far from where you grew up. And I kind of got hired by the learning and development team because they were hiring a few coaches for some of their top executives. So I got assigned to this guy. They thought, oh, this will be a good match. So number one is I learned we weren't a good match, but I didn't know enough at that time. This was really early in my career to say, hey, did you interview a few? I was more like, here you go, here's your coach. And then we did some work. We did some assessments to see, where he was and where he wanted to go. And within 2 sessions, I realized that where he felt like he was and where he wanted to go were almost the exact same spot. So he didn't sense that he had any work to do, even though the learning and development folks and HR was saying this guy has some work to do. He was like, no, I think I'm good.
Yeah. Can't help someone that doesn't feel like they need any help.
Exactly. So the number one thing is if somebody in that chemistry call, and understand that you're trying to get the chemistry hit from your interview, the coach should also be doing the same. Should be looking at you and saying, is this somebody that would fit, that my process would serve?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a really important piece. And I'm listening. I'm asking questions of my potential client to hear, tell me about how you learned. How have you grown in the past? What have you done? What works for you? Because if they don't have great answers for that, they may not be a good client for me.
Yeah. I love sports, love basketball a lot.
Yeah.
As I told you, my middle son's trying to make it to college basketball. Yeah. There are certain people in business and in sports that will look at a coach as a player or as a business executive or founder and say, why would I listen to that guy? He was never as good than me at basketball, right? Or he hasn't even achieved what I've achieved in business. So how could he possibly help me out? And you and I both know that that's not true, right? Like there are so many very successful NBA coaches that some have never played college basketball.
Absolutely.
Some have played some college basketball and did fairly poorly, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
But they're coaching the top players in the world, and they do it very, very well.
Absolutely.
Do you run into that? Do you run into players looking at you going, how can you help me out? Yeah. I'm running this size of company and you've never done that. Or, how do you,
sure.
Is that someone that you just say there's no help, it's not a good fit? Or is there a process that you go through to help kind of enlighten them?
Yeah. I mean, I think for sure there are some industries that are pretty unique. I've coached, an emergency room doctor. I've never been an emergency room doctor, but in the process of coaching him and learning about that, what his role is and how he's successful. And I wasn't coaching him to be a better emergency room doctor. He was moving into leadership. So I was coaching him to be a better leader. I think one of the phenomenal things that happened was we realized that the way he operated in the emergency room was the way he was operating in the boardroom. That doesn't work in a boardroom.
Yeah.
Right? You can't yell at everyone because there is not a life on the line in the boardroom like there is in the emergency room. I mean, typically, most of the time. So he was carrying over what he thought success was. So the question I would say is, what's your expertise, Ben? What do you think you're really good at?
Probably people development and growing leaders.
And how long have you been practicing that, learning about that?
21 years.
Right. And when I talk to my clients about whatever business they're running, what are you great at? And they might say people development, but they might say I'm a marketing guru, I'm a sales guru, we are great at product development. How long have you been working on that? 20 years, 30 years. Okay, great. So if I need a product developed, I'm going to come to you because you've got great expertise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what I've been doing for 30 years, maybe getting close to 40, right? I've been learning about how teams operate, how leaders operate, and how leaders become successful. So when I go to a conference or I go to train myself, it's all about how can I help my people get to where they want to get to as quickly and effectively as possible. That's what I've been learning. So if you want to do that, you can work with me because that's my expertise.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're an emergency room doctor or you run a wonderful, place for men to get their hair not only styled lovely, but their scalp massaged and all kinds of great things here. Whatever it is, if that's what you want, if you want development, go to those experts.
Yeah. Well, I think about a coach too, especially in sports and thinking about a basketball shot, for example. And I tell my son this, it's impossible when you're taking that basketball shot for you to see your back or the back of your legs,
right,
or your feet, maybe in the periphery. If you tried really hard, then you're not looking at the basket. But a coach can see 360 degrees around you. And so there's just value if they know what a good basketball shot looks like.
Yeah.
There's just value in them saying, this is what it looks like from this angle, which you will never see. You'll never in your life see the back, your head, the back of your head, your legs, where they're bent, all of those things. And so it takes, I found a lot of humility in accepting that, because I have run into business leaders and founders, and I used to work, he's now a billionaire. I was the second guy in line at my prior startup, who didn't hire a financial advisor because he could do it better himself. Didn't hire an executive coach because he could do it better himself. And that amount of hubris can get you in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I was in your position, like I need people coming to me with some form of humility.
For sure. I mean, ego is the number one thing I think that gets in all of our way of developing. It's when we come in thinking we know everything. But the reality is, I have not met a human being that doesn't have blind spots.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is another analogy. We could bring our Black Panther friend over, but I was at an Astros game opening day and the day after, and Orbit is the mascot there. Big, tall dude. So when Orbit's walking over, one thing that you don't notice, I mean, Orbit, the person who's playing Orbit, but has very limited vision. You put the Panther on, you're going to notice that you can only see out of here, right? The Syracuse orange actually looks out of the top of the baseball cap, but there's a little square at the top of the baseball cap. The Army mule has a little square in the neck of the mule, and they're very limited in their vision. So what do they have? Orbit has at least one, sometimes two or three other people that are within 10 or 15 or 20 yards of them. And they are there to help Orbit be successful. They're there to sometimes point out, hey, there's a television cable that, the guy with the camera ran out on the field, so careful because you could trip over that. If you're a collegiate mascot and you're out in the fans, there's often a guide or a support person that's there that's saying, hey, there's a 5-year-old kid running headstrong right at you. Be prepared. You can't see them, right? Or looking at your back or whatever when people are pulling your tail or whatever it is. And every leader that I've worked with, we have blind spots. And it's not just even your kid's back or how he's, something he can't see. It could even be the things he can see. Do you notice that you're doing this with your hands? Every time, right, you bounce it twice and you move your left hand from here to here. Like you didn't notice it, but that happened, and I want your hand to be over here. It could be right in front of your face and you don't see it.
Well, so speaking of that, number one mistake, most common mistake or correction you need to make? And I know you deal with a lot of things, but anything that's popping up more often now than before, even on leadership mistakes?
I mean, it's a great question. My first response is it's so individualized in some cases that for some people it's control issues. For other people, it's being a little too arrogant, too much hubris. For some people, it's being too complicit, wanting to make sure everybody's happy. And all of those can definitely get in your way.
Like people pleasers.
People pleasers. I mean, that was my thing
Mine
when
too.
I was a leader.
I struggle with that. I want to make people happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got two older brothers. I grew up, if my brothers weren't happy with me when I was 5 years old, they wouldn't hang out with me.
Same. I had two older brothers too. Maybe that's where it comes from.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I did a lot of looking at, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to make sure they're happy so they hang out with me. And then I became a business development VP, and I was checking in to make sure my salespeople were happy as opposed to holding them accountable. I was like, don't worry about it, or, not a good way to run a business. So this is actually based on a woman named Karen Horney, I believe her last name is. Back in the 60s, she did some really great psychological work about adult development. And one of the big things that holds us all back from being effective are these three main areas she talks about. She talks about kind of that complying behavior, that pleasing, conservative, belonging type of feeling. That's one. The second one is protective behavior, kind of arrogance, distance, like I don't like this, so I'm just going to back away from it. And then the third one is the controlling behavior. I don't like what's going on, kind of like your friend you were talking about, so I'm just going to take control of everything and I'll micromanage. It's got to be my way or the highway. And all of those behaviors lead to less effective leadership.
What about technology? How is technology? Is it helping? Is it hurting? AI? Are you using that as a tool? Are they using it? People are using it too much?
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely use it as a tool. I think AI, honestly, I mean, I'm not an AI guru, and we talked about this a little bit. It's moving so fast that we could say something today and 6 months from now, it's irrelevant as it pertains to AI. But here's the one piece about AI and leadership that we definitely need to be considering is, so you're using AI, right? And when you use AI, you pull it up on your computer, and what's the first thing you do?
Prompt it?
Right.
Yeah.
Who's writing a prompt?
Yeah.
A human. A leader. So even just the thought of what prompt are you writing in there, we go back to Ben's core values. Like, are you writing a prompt, how much money can I make if I sell more Rascal shampoo? Is that what you're writing? I mean, you can do that, and AI is going to give you an answer. But you might put in there, how can I coordinate, my Rascal brand, or you're still doing Rascal, aren't you? How can I coordinate my Rascal brand with, X, Y, or Z to support this community, to do these things? I mean, it's whatever prompt you put in. So again, this is why I think it's so important for us to be clear on who we are, because who I am is writing the prompt for AI, and then writing the follow-up, and then writing that follow-up.
Yeah. Garbage in, garbage out applies here.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are you seeing leaders use AI when they're coming to you in a destructive way, or where you're telling them, hey, you shouldn't be going to ChatGPT for that. You really need to do some critical thinking. But are you seeing any mistakes being made?
Yeah, I mean, I think this came out last week that, AI is like when you go to Google and it creates an AI search typically, that AI is right a good 90% of the time. However, I don't know how many AI requests are there right now. There's billions of AI requests. So if we're right 90% of the time, we're still millions of times wrong, hundreds of millions of times it's wrong. So you still need to look at what it's putting out and be critical about that and use your own brain to say, is this working? I did hear a story of recently someone who has two different AI platforms open. So they'll ask this AI a question and, help me out. And then they'll ask this AI a question. and then they'll take this AI's response and feed it into this AI and take this AI's response and feed it into that one and keep doing that until the AIs agree. Now, again, is that the right answer? I don't know. Are they, that's the way they're prompting it, but I still think it takes authentic, moral people to still look at that and discern, okay, here's the answer it gave me. Should I do that? Should I post that? Should I say that at the conference?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I see people abdicating their leadership responsibilities to AI. I saw an exchange in one of my locations between a former team member and a manager, and it was all AI. Former team member expressed to AI how she felt.
Yeah.
Had AI write it, sent the email over to the manager. The manager copies and pastes that. AI generate. And I'm looking at this email exchange going back and forth, and it's two robots talking to each other.
Right.
There is some truth in each one because of the prompt, but AI clearly didn't have all the context. It only had the context that was given.
Right.
My manager is a jerk, and this is why I left, and this is why I deserve whatever it was, my pay. Or
right.
So I just had to, I didn't have control over the former team member. They're gone.
Yep.
But I had to tell the manager, hey, cut it out. You guys this is just Chat GPT going back and forth.
Yeah. Use your brain.
Yeah. This was never going to stop, by the way. If you keep using, it will always, I don't think AI is ever going to say, I'm tired of this. It's just going to keep going back.
Right. And it wants to make you happy too. So if you put in there something that says, hey, what do you think about this? It's going to come up with an answer because it wants to make you happy and keep using it. It's still an algorithm in that sense, right? The same way we're doing doom scrolling. It wants you to keep using it, so it wants to make sure you're happy with the anster.
Yeah.
We haven't solved that problem in AI, I don't think yet.
No, we haven't. What about coaching gone wrong? If some of our audience members they have a leadership coach right now.
Yeah.
And they just feel like just not where I need to be for whatever reason. How do you discern when you're not getting what you need out of that relationship? Maybe you should make a switch, and I don't know if you have any personal experiences there where between you and a client, you're like, we need to end this.
Yep. Yeah. I have ended a few coaching engagements for various reasons. Sometimes it's because it's not a good match, and maybe we didn't catch it up front, but we got it, 3 sessions in. We're like, wow, this isn't working. And in all my contracts and all my work, at any time, my clients can cancel. I can also cancel on them if I feel like, look, we're just not making progress. I have a client right now that we did probably 3 sessions. We got him some 360 feedback. He's not ready. So we put a pin in it, and the coaching's on hold. So, and it will be on hold until he's ready to go through it. But I think there's a little nuance to what you're asking though, Ben, because there are times too where coaching gets hard. You get the truth and you're like, you might go, I don't know if I like this.
I really don't like that. Yeah.
I don't know if I like this guy. Why not? Well,
it's the same thing in sports, by the way, right? This coach is an a-hole. I'm tired of him, but then it's like, gosh, but he's only doing it to make me better.
Right. And I think, again, this is the same as, I'm sure you've learned this in all your people development, right? It's that framing up front of, look, I'm going to tell you something. You may not like it, but I care about you. I care about your development. I care about your success. And I don't know if anybody's ever told you this in your life. And maybe you've heard it, but I'm going to tell it to you again from somebody who doesn't have a dog in the hunt particularly, so that you can decide if you want to do something about it. And then you can lay it out there. And usually it's well received. But there are times where people, the times that coaching has ended is either my process wasn't working, which, as I said, I'm open to that. I know it doesn't work for everyone. And I'm constantly modifying my approach based on what I'm learning, based on what I'm noticing with clients, and I customize it based on what I see with clients. But even if I do that and it's not working, then it's not working. Let that person go, let them go find another coach, whatever it might be. The other time, though, it doesn't work is when they don't do their work.
Mm-hmm.
They're not willing to go. They say this is the classic, I want to get better. But then you give them some, or they come up with some experiments they want to try. And then 2 weeks later, they come back and they haven't tried them.
Yeah.
I had a client, he's the head of a organization in Austin. He got he moved from another company to this organization, and great leader. I mean, he scores really well in some of the tools that I use. But the other day we were talking about just a small conversation he needed to have with a woman who kind of jumped in in a meeting, talked a little over him a little bit, and he didn't like it. And I said, "Well, have you talked to her?" And he said, "No, it's just not that big a deal." And I was like, "Well, it's big enough for you to bring it up to me."
Yeah, we're spending time on it.
And we're spending time on it. So 2 weeks go by, we meet again, and I say, "So tell me, anything going on?" And he said, "Yeah, I had the conversation. It was really good, et cetera." And I said, "I'm so happy that you took action." He goes, "Keith, I didn't want to get to this phone call and tell you that I didn't do it." And sometimes that's a coach, helping with that accountability.
Absolutely. That's the thing. I think coming into that relationship with humility, knowing that just that alone provides value. It's like the personal trainer.
Yeah.
You could do, the personal trainer can say, "Here's all the exercises we're going to do, and you can do it on your own and achieve the exact same results."
Right.
And you just don't do all of them. You shortcut or you miss a day. And the people pleaser in me doesn't want to let someone, if I've booked a meeting for Monday at 2 with my personal trainer,
right,
I'm not going to call him and say, "I can't come." And then he says, "Why?"
Exactly.
You have to say, "Because I don't feel like it."
Yeah. And even when you're there, and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to do these flies now." And you pick up the 5-pound weights. He goes, "Ben, we don't 5-pound weights? No, you're doing 10 or you're doing 15 or whatever it might be." Right. Because when you're there by yourself, you're like, I'm kind of tired. I'll just do 5s. I swim in a master's class. I'm not a swimmer. I'm, 5'6". I got tiny hands. I'm pretty small from that perspective in swimming, but I love to swim. It's great exercise. It's good for my back. It's good for my joints, etc. But when I get in with the master's group, there's somebody in the lane next to me or sometimes in my lane who, they're pushing me, not even saying a word. Just the fact that they are there pushes me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're, they just finished 5 seconds faster than me. I gotta, this next 50, I'm going to go a little faster,
Man,
a little faster.
You just gave me PTSD from the one and only marathon I ran was in Austin. My wife and I did it at 21 years old. And we were not prepared for this because we did half our training in Austin and I graduated early, moved to Dallas. So we did half the training we were supposed to, not the second half. And we show up at this marathon and we feel like we're running, but then we have like a 75-year-old woman like blowing past us. And, we're looking down going, we're making the motion of running, but we're actually in a state of walking from a speed standpoint.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can't stop and walk if this 75-year-old woman is blowing past me. So there's some accountability there.
Exactly. And it's a lovely thing. I mean, it's a loving accountability. I'm sure that's what you do when you develop people.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Inside out leadership. I wanted to touch on this before we go because it's the premise of your book. What does that mean in practice?
Yeah.
Like if I'm practicing this inside out leadership style.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe it is I put a poll out on LinkedIn a couple of years ago. Had about 100 people fill it out. And I just asked them, when you think about, your core values or who you are, like, how would you describe it? I gave them 4 categories. And the first one was, I don't have any core values. That was about 20% of people that answered that poll. This is not a scientific poll, but I will say that when I go out and talk about this, it's very eerily similar. I don't judge. If you don't have core values, that's not a big deal. It's to me, I would just say you're going through life and you're maybe enjoying it, and there's something bright and shiny over here, and you go, I think I'm gonna go try that. Great, there's something over here, I'm gonna go try that. But you're not particularly directed by anything internally. You're just being fed by the external world. About 50% of people say, yeah, I have core values, but when you say, what are they? They kind of go, well, family, God, success. They're pretty generic, and you can tell that they're not solidified. And that's a lot of people in my mind. The next 20% are people like, yeah, I have them and they're written down. Like I have a word. I might have God, family, success written down. That's much more clear even than just the people who are kind of like, I think it's this. 10% of people have it written out specifically like what family actually means and how they go do that. So you have a family, you have 3 kids, I have 3 kids and a wife. If we both have family as a core value, but I asked you to write it out, like, so what does that mean for Ben? Like, I am a fill in the blank, Have you thought through that? Like what kind of father or husband you are? And are you pretty clear on how you describe that?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you too, one of our family mottos is we take winning shots. And there's a lot that goes into that. It's a really deep statement for us that we take winning shots. Most people in basketball and sports and life aren't even willing to take the winning shot. So you got 3 seconds left on the clock and you've got the ball.
Right.
Most people are looking around going, who's going to shoot it? I hope it's not me, because I don't want to carry the burden of missing.
Right.
But we're a family that takes winning shots.
Yeah.
We want to be the ones where everyone's like, that guy's going to take it.
Right.
Like everyone's looking at him because he can bear the burden of both winning and losing and move on. Right. Has the courage to step up and do that. Not doing it for the glory, but doing it because you feel like you're the best person, you're the most prepared to do that.
Right.
And that you can shoulder that, you can move on. But I've noticed that in basketball, like people don't like taking winning shots.
Right.
They don't like being put on the harsh edge of reality.
Yeah. And what's amazing about that, if I started to ask you, okay, so Ben, what does that mean you or your son who's playing basketball, what do they have to do in order to be prepared to do that in the moment? Right? There's so many things that now you're making decisions like, hey, if our family wants to be the one that's going to take the winning shot on this volunteer thing we're going to do, that means, and here's 3 things we're going to go do.
Yeah.
So that clarity provides you with clear decision-making power. And it also allows you to say, I'm sure you get phone calls and texts and emails about all these things that people want you to do. And you go, thank you, but no.
Yeah.
You know what to say no to so that you can say yes to the winning shots that you want to take.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's so clear. That's so wonderful that you have that ability to know what I say yes to and what I say no to.
And are you walking people? Is that part of your engagement?
Yeah.
You are finding out, do you have them? Are they written down and bring them through the process to set that foundation?
Yeah, in the book, in Sparking Your Inner Leader, the chapter 2 walks you through the 4-step process. I think I brought along these are my guiding principles, right?
Nice.
That I keep them. And there's part of it is development, developing your guiding principles, but then the other part is utilization and practice and experimentation. And I believe these can be not only who I am, but who I aspire to be because that's the growth part of it, right? If everything on mine was just, Keith, this is who you are, it'd be great, but where am I?
Where's the growth, right?
Where's the growth?
Yeah, there's an aspirational component.
I always encourage people to have an aspirational component to their guiding principles. And so now, what do I say yes to and what do I say no to? I can just look at that list. And we also talk about prioritization of it because, as you know, with kids, we have all these things coming at us. So, what'd you spend last weekend doing? You were at sports events, right? You could have played golf with your buddies. You could, I'm sure you had lots of other invitations, but that's what you chose to do because of priority. So part of the process is kind of figuring out what your core values are, grouping them together, prioritizing them, and then writing out sentences. Because I think when we know ourselves in detail, we get much more clear about decisions we make. And the big thing is, what do I say yes to and what do I say no to?
Yeah. And you have that on your desk, I would imagine?
I have one on my desk. I got one on my mirror. My wife sees it. My kids, when they're home, they see it. I get lots of feedback on it. I had a
Hey,
client.
Dad, you're not letting out number 3 right there.
Oh, yeah. Like, hey, Dad, come here. And they'll walk me into my bathroom, right? And they'll be like, Dad, see this one here about humor?
Yeah.
No, not you're not being very fun right now. But I had a client that produced his, and he had a glass door and glass wall to his office. He taped his to the glass wall facing out. So, and I said, "Why'd you do that?" And Jorge said, "I did it because A, I walk through the door 5-6 times a day so I can look at it and just remind myself. And B, now I have people who A, ask me about it, but B, now they know what to expect when they walk through the door.
Mm-hmm.
They know who they're going to get and who they should expect to get." And he said, "I like that. And here's a guy who used me as a coach for a period of time and then didn't need me because he had 43 other coaches in his office that would walk in his door and go, 'Hey, Jorge,' and they'd walk him out and go, 'Hey, you got a little angry in that meeting, and I know here you have this.'"
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. People knowing what you're all about, putting that out there, not being afraid to put that out there, and encountering the risk of accountability, right? Because that's you're being vulnerable when you put it out. This is what I'm all about. Let me know when I'm not aligned with that.
Yeah.
We're out of time, man, but I could talk
Really?
to you
We
for,
just
I could
started.
talk to you for hours. I know you've got the book, you've got a website. Let people know where to find you.
Yeah. Verispark.com is the website. Easy. You can see the coaching, the speaking, the book is there, all that. You can get the book on Amazon, obviously, and any other place you want to
Great
buy a
reviews
book.
on Amazon, by the way. I looked on there. Yeah.
I'm looking for a few more, but I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
5 stars right now. So that's really good. And then LinkedIn. I mean, I love it when people, connect with me on LinkedIn. I love to connect people too. Like if you're looking for somebody, I saw you did that with a basketball thing recently. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's what it's there for, is it's all about our community and our network. So LinkedIn is a great place to connect with me as well. I put a newsletter out I think every 2 weeks, just to, let people know, hey, are you thinking about this? So love to be connected there. And I mean, call me, email me, however you want. I love talking to people about this.
Yeah. And we have a similar lounge here in all of our Gents Place locations, with a similar one in Austin, and you're getting your haircut there often. So you may catch him, have a meeting in the lounge.
There you go.
There in Austin, Great Hills.
We'll let everybody in the Austin community come in, and we'll give everybody a book and have a chat, have a book club.
That's right. There you go. Perfect. Keith, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for watching and listening again. And until next time on the lounge.